So why is it that exhaustion is one of the biggest indicators that you are living out of alignment, but it's one of the biggest things that we also try to cover up and ignore and get rid of and pretend like it doesn't exist? I woke up this morning and decided to film this video because I'm feeling really exhausted today, and I thought it was a perfect time to talk about exhaustion as a whole and what it actually means when it comes to living in alignment, when it comes to burnout. And I was really thinking about how we as a society try to cover up exhaustion by drinking coffee, by relying on caffeine, by ignoring it, by pushing through this like hustle mentality for productivity. If we don't get a good night's sleep, it's kind of like tough cookies, keep pushing through, doesn't matter. You still have to go about your business. You still have to go about your day. Exhaustion is just not talked about enough. And yet it is one of the biggest indicators that you are living out of alignment. It's one of the biggest indicators that you are burned out. And it's one of the biggest indicators that something needs to change in your life. So when I woke up exhausted today, I thought that it was a perfect opportunity to talk about this a little bit more in depth and how to reframe looking at exhaustion when you do wake up exhausted, or if you're feeling exhausted throughout the day, what it actually means and how you can change your mindset to actually start living in alignment, actually start making changes instead of just pushing it to the side and hoping for the best. I have my breakfast in front of me. I have some hot water with honey, which I love to sip on if I'm not drinking tea. I don't really drink caffeinated tea. I don't drink any coffee, so I definitely don't rely on caffeine in my life. And so I feel like I have somewhat of a unique perspective on morning exhaustion, and really sitting with it and how to manage it, how to work through it, and how to change your mindset around it. So when you're working toward living a life in alignment, you have to pay attention to triggers. You have to pay attention to the days that you don't feel well. You have to really get clear on what is going on and what is not matching up to your ideal aligned life. Exhaustion is one of the biggest indicators that something needs to change in your life. And this can show up in different ways. It can be mental exhaustion. It could be physical exhaustion, emotional exhaustion, even what I call spiritual exhaustion, where you're just feeling unfulfilled, you're feeling lost, you're feeling like you don't have any direction in life. And what people tend to do when they feel exhausted, and this is why so many people are burnt out, so many people are feeling just overwhelmed, stressed, they have a ton of anxiety, they're not feeling well, they have chronic health issues. All of this is because we are taught to push through the exhaustion. Exhaustion is looked down upon. It's actually not even spoken about, because if you are exhausted, you can sometimes be considered weak. You can sometimes be considered not a hard worker. You're labeled as lazy. You are just seen as someone who is not able to keep up. And so there's this societal pressure to just ignore your internal body cues and ignore what you're actually needing in that moment, or what you're craving, or what your body is signaling to you, to just push through and be seen as productive, or push through so you don't feel bad about yourself based on what all of these labels mean. So how many of you, when you feel exhausted, feel like, oh, I'm just so lazy. I'm so exhausted. What's wrong with me? I'm just lazy. I just can't keep up. I should be working harder. I should be doing better. So all of that shame starts coming in. All of the guilt starts coming in, even when you're exhausted. And it's this spiral effect. And so when you try to cover it up with certain stimulants or caffeine, it just kind of spirals into this whole pattern of like ignoring your body cues, covering it up just to meet societal standards of basically what productivity is, or basically what you should be doing. Not only that, but that can trickle into so many other areas of your life. Like, for example, have you ever felt exhausted and then that has a toll on your anxiety or on your mental health as a whole? It starts to really affect your mood. And then because your mood is affected, other areas of your life are affected. Or have you ever tried to stay up really late at night because you feel like that's the only time you can relax? Or you start doom scrolling because you feel exhausted and it's your body's way of just checking out, and you think it's relaxing you, but do you ever really feel relaxed afterward? Probably not. And so the biggest thing you can do for yourself in these moments, if you're really trying to work toward living in alignment, is to sit down when you're exhausted and get to the bottom of it. Don't ignore it. Don't push it aside. Don't feed into societal pressures or expectations for productivity. Try to avoid that negative talk cycle and just sit with it. Just sit with yourself and ask yourself, why am I so tired right now? Just pausing allows you to be present with your nervous system. Just sitting with yourself allows you to prioritize yourself for that moment and give yourself some grace and ask yourself, why am I so tired right now? Why am I feeling exhausted? And then you can start to uncover what's really going on. And I know it's tough because people who are chronically exhausted for whatever reason are probably so used to just pushing through and not stopping. And so there's probably habits formed around not paying attention to your exhaustion. So it might feel a little bit challenging. It might feel a little weird to do that, but just stop when you're exhausted. Even if you wake up and you're feeling really tired, or at the end of the day, you're feeling really exhausted, ask yourself, why am I exhausted? When did I start feeling this way? In what ways am I feeling exhausted? Am I physically exhausted? Do I feel mentally exhausted? Sorry if you can hear that, that's my fridge. But am I feeling mentally exhausted? Am I feeling emotionally exhausted? Do I feel emotionally drained? What's really going on here? And just start to have a conversation with yourself. So for example, I woke up feeling exhausted this morning. I'm feeling really tired right now. I have a full day's worth of work right now to get done. And what I'm doing is I'm practicing just sitting with that and asking myself, why am I so tired this morning? And I'm starting to reflect on what may have contributed to my exhaustion, because I don't want this to happen in the future. One of the biggest things I'm doing right now is sitting with my discomfort of how I feel when I'm exhausted. Because if you're trying to set goals and you're trying to find motivation, you have to understand your why. That is one of the biggest drivers for motivation, is understanding your why. My why is I don't want to feel exhausted. I don't want to feel this way. I don't feel well. And then it kind of trickles into other whys, which is I tend to get sick when I'm exhausted. I get sick a lot. It affects my mood drastically. So then I actually am unproductive. I actually might be a bit more irritable, or I might have mood swings. I just feel weak all around. I might get a headache. It might affect how I feel about food. And that's why I'm kind of forcing myself to eat a good breakfast right now, because when I'm tired, I tend to have a decrease in my appetite, making sure I'm drinking water. And then it also affects how I feel about myself. So that guilt and that shame trickling in that I spoke about earlier definitely happens in my personal experience, where I tell myself, it's always the should haves. I should have gotten up earlier. I should have gone to bed earlier. I should have done this to get a full night's sleep. And that's not productive for me. That negative self-talk, all it does is spiral me more into being in a rut. So all I practice when I feel this way is treating myself with compassion, sitting with my exhaustion, really noticing what areas I feel exhaustion and how they trickle into each other, and then taking note of maybe things that I can change to live more in alignment and to feel better, to feel the way that I want to feel without the guilt or the shame. So one example of this is I noticed I stayed up later last night than I usually stay up in an effort to relax. So then I asked myself, why did I feel the need to relax? Why did I not get enough relaxation throughout the day that forced my body and forced me to stay up later to achieve some sense of relaxation that I didn't feel I got earlier in the day, that actually had a negative impact the next day because I didn't get enough sleep? So then I take that information and I can use that moving forward. How can I build more self-care throughout the day? How can I build more relaxation into my day? What things actually make me feel relaxed? I also scrolled on social media last night, so that was keeping my brain active. It's very difficult to relax when you're scrolling on social media because there's so much stimuli coming your way that your brain simply cannot relax. So then I ask myself, are there other ways that I can wind down throughout the night that doesn't involve activating and stimulating my brain even further when it's supposed to be actually shutting down for the night? And also another point to that is, why was I doom scrolling? Was it to check out because I'm feeling stressed about something? Honestly, it can be something as simple as, do I need to change the temperature in my room? Do I need to change my pillow? I have neck issues, so a pillow is a huge indicator of whether I'm going to get a good night's sleep or not. And so you begin to have this conversation with yourself. You begin to get to the bottom, the root causes of why you're exhausted. And it doesn't involve any shame. It doesn't involve any pressure on yourself. It's simply information that you can use moving forward to start living in the way that you want. And this is a huge thing that I teach with my clients. It's a huge thing that I practice in my life. And that is that you cannot make changes in your life until you understand the functions of your behaviors. You cannot make changes until you understand why you're doing the things that you're doing and exactly what needs to change. When people make goals or even New Year's resolutions, it can be kind of arbitrary. It can be kind of random. And then they're like, okay, this is my goal. I'm going to follow it. This is just what I'm going to do. I'm going to work hard toward it. But they don't actually break it down as to maybe why it didn't work last year, or what they would actually need to change in their life specifically to make that change, or even why they're choosing that goal. Is it just because someone else is doing it? Is it because, again, society is pressuring you to do it? Or does it genuinely fit into what your life of alignment looks like? So yeah, really start to see exhaustion as information. I know it's an unpleasant feeling, but it's actually such good information to figure out where in your life you're feeling burnt out, why you're feeling burnt out, what's actually stopping you from reaching your goals, and what's hindering your motivation. So yeah, if you're feeling exhausted today, let's avoid the shame, the self-blame, even the caffeine. Like, let's just try to sit with it. Just notice why you're feeling exhausted, and yeah, like, take it from there and use that information to try to figure out how you can make changes in your life toward how you actually want to feel. With anything that's keeping you stuck in life or affecting how you feel, or keeping you from living the life that you want to live, you have to approach it with curiosity. Not criticism, not shame, not self-deprecation. You have to approach it with curiosity. Because the shame and the self-deprecation and the fear is what's actually keeping you from living out of alignment and driving the other patterns that you're doing. All right, everybody, I'm going to eat my breakfast now. And if you're eating, I hope you're eating a nourishing meal too. And if you liked this video, don't forget to subscribe to see more videos like this. And I will see you all next time. Bye.